Great. Yeah, Paul, that's all good. You're also, I mean, the day 9, day 8, those are like long videos, like more than 1 hour, I'm pretty sure. It is perfectly fine if you just follow through this, if you don't mind, but I don't think it's going to be super complicated. But again, it's totally up to you. If you want to revise day 9 and then come back, that's also fine. You can always see the recording. All right, so let's get started. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. This is, again, the 10th day on full stack software development using Python. My name is Hassan. This session is recorded, and let's move forward. All right, what is today's agenda? All right, today we are going to focus on this. We'll be exploring more on templating, right? We have done some MVC work. We created our model. We have our controller. We have our view layer. Now, since we are using Jinja 2, so we'll be exploring more Jinja 2 today, which is the templating language, templating framework that comes with Flask 2. We'll be exploring more Bootstrap today. We got introduced to Bootstrap in the last class, but we'll be doing more Bootstrap today. Like you know, it's a very, very simple, straightforward UI framework. Since our UI didn't look that great, we are now, you know, integrating Bootstrap to make it look better. We'll be creating the user list as well. Now we have, in the existing implementation, we have list of tweets. We are creating, by the way, I think I should have mentioned that we are creating for the folks who are new in this session. We are creating a Twitter-like application, and very basic version of it. We call it Rapid Twitter. Now, in the Rapid Twitter, we have a page where we can see the list of all the tweets, and also we can see list of my tweets, right? But we don't have any way today to see all the users who signed up, right? That is not there. So we'll be creating a user list as well today. Now, with the second thing that we're going to focus on is the follow user, unfollow user. You know, if you're familiar with Twitter, you know, you can follow an individual, or you can unfollow, or, you know, we can still see, Twitter can still suggest that if you want to follow someone, so it suggests you, right? So follow and unfollow user. This is currently not there. If time permits, we'll also explore how we can do that. We can create the maybe model functions today if time permits. All right. So let's move forward. The previous videos are on YouTube. Just wanted to share the links with you. Once again, I'll be sharing that in the chat. So all the links are here in the chat. So I'm sharing the YouTube link, Repl.it link. I misspelled it, Repl.it. The Repl is a place where we all code together. It's a shared coding platform, okay? Today's slide is also, the link is given there. And there is a documentation I shared, just some additional information. So if you're interested, you can check out the documentation from Flask, because we are going to cover some Flash messages today, okay? But you'll see what Flash messages are. But that's basically about link. Now, moving forward, just wanted to give you a demo on day 9 versus day 10. Now, I did some work already, okay? Day 9, where we left off, I did add some template, Bootstrap template for beautifying the application, okay? There is no, no fancy thing going here. I just wanted to demo how day 9 was looking and how day 10 today looks like. Just for your info, that how Bootstrap can beautify stuff, but there'll be stuff for you to work on as well. It doesn't that I did everything. There is something pending still for you. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so this is day 9 and this is day 10. Okay, let me go to the home page. Okay, so you can see that what is happening on the left side. So I need to log out. Maybe I just need to log out. Maybe just go to tweets, and then I can log out. All right. So this is how, this is on the left side, we have what we built in day 9 till day 9. And on the right side, we have what we have on day 10. The difference between them, very slight. It looks better, definitely. On the right side, we have integrated Bootstrap framework. On the left side, we didn't. So that's why it looks way better, right? So as you can see, we have a header here with 2 links. Since I'm logged out, I can only go to home. The home forces me to log in again. And there's a register link. I can go to register. But on the left side, you can see there is no menu. It doesn't look good. It's barely a page that you want to interact with. So not so great. Okay, so let's log in and see how it changes. Okay, so I know my user here is Hassan and my first name, and no, I don't want to register, sorry. I want to go to login page. Okay, so let's log in, Hassan and Hassan. All right. So if I log in here, no, never for this side, I don't want to, and then here my username is Mr. 1 and Mr. 1. Okay, so I'll log in. And this is how it looks after I log in. Drastically different, right? Drastically different. On the left side is basically the same backend, but on the right side is the same backend with Bootstrap framework integration. It looks way better, right? It looks way better. And there is something that I wanted to draw your attention to. Number 1 is the menu. See, whenever I logged in, the moment I logged in, the menu changed. I don't have the only 2 menus there. We used to have, like, when I was logged out, I had only home and register. Now I have home, new tweets, all sort of actions that a logged in user can perform, right? So that's something to take note of. So this is actually checking if the user is logged in or logged out. Based on that, the menu is switching, right? So this is something that I've done. I'll show you exactly how it's done. There's nothing super fancy going on behind the scenes, basically an if condition in the template. All right, the next thing that I have, since I successfully logged in, it's showing me that login was successful. Right? So, which is another component that I copy pasted from Bootstrap framework. I'll show you that. And it's there in the documentation. So I'll show you this component as well. You can click that button to close that off as well. Okay. Then what is happening is the same form, but it just looks better here. The tweet button looks better. And then, most importantly, maybe, the last 10 tweets, the recent tweets. So it shows what is happening around you, right? What are your friends saying or doing? So the top ones are mostly my test tweets. There is one from Raptor, which is another test user, and then another Mr. X, MSX, another tweet from the user, another user. So yeah, it's showing the last 10 tweets, and we don't have any such components here. Now, this is great because, here, the reason I included this block is I wanted to show how, one template can include another template. It's called partials in some languages. Partials are like a small snippet of template that you can include in another template. Right? It's basically template in template. We'll see how this can be done and how it promotes reusability so that you don't have to repeat yourself, which is very good. Which is a very powerful concept in software development, right? The more we reuse, the more time is saved and more testing work is saved. Okay, so this is a template in template example. So let's move forward and see what we have. Now, the left side is a little inconvenient because we don't have a menu bar, but I know the URL, so I'll just go ahead and say, I want to go see all the tweets, okay? So there you go. It says all the tweets are here. It said there are 12 tweets altogether. So let's go here and go and click on tweets link, and there you go. The same page is showing here. It looks better. If you notice that this block that you're seeing here, all tweets, and then we have list of tweets. If I go back to home page, it's actually the same block, right? Only a few differences that the content is a little different because it's only showing 10, and the title is different. Title is recent 10 tweets. But if I go to tweets, it doesn't say recent 10 tweets, it says all tweets. So this is a block that is parameterized. It's a template that is parameterized. Okay, the template takes 2 values. Number 1 value is what is the header? What is the header? And the second value that it takes is actually a collection of tweets. Okay, that's why I can just pass the header and the collection of tweets, and based on what I send, it just renders it. That's the beauty of it. Okay, so the same template is reused in the home page with a different title and in the tweets page with a different title. This is reusability, right? We'll see how we can have, we actually have implemented that. There are slides for this as well. Okay, so let's move forward. I'll go and change to, I want to see only my tweets. So let's go /Mr. 1 here. And it now shows all my tweets. I have only 2 tweets on the left side. So let's see how many tweets we have. So I have a separate link for it, my tweets. Let's click on that. And there you go. All tweets from Ahsan. So this is the user that's logged in, right? So it shows all tweets from Ahsan, and they're showing all Ahsan's tweets. And again, this is the same template. So reusability again, saving us tons of time. Let's go and click on users now. This is something for you to implement today. Okay, I haven't done that intentionally. In the users list, we wanted to show the user that I'm following and the user that I'm not following, or either unfollowed or never followed, right? So all the users should be in the second block. Now as you can see, no data is showing up. Today, if we have time, we'll try to implement that and see how far we can go. Okay, we don't have such a page on the left side. This is a new page that I just registered, but the implementation of it will be happening today in this session. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's see what we have. We have another button called logout Ahsan. We don't have a logout Mr. 1 as well. So let's hit log out on the left side first, and then you can see that it directly forces me to log in again. And that's it, right? It's a very, very blunt. But on the right side, if I just click on log out, it gives me the beautiful login page, and it also tells me that logout was successful. Okay, this is beautiful. I think this is awesome. This is a very good user experience, and that's why your users would love to interact with this on the page on the right side and the left side, definitely, right? This is way better. Now, also see that the menu changed, right? This since the user is logged out, you can see you can only go to home or register. Okay. One more thing I wanted to show you. Oh, by the way, this is called Flash Messages. You'll see how to do Flash messaging in Flask today. Okay. Now, just wanted to show some error handling and error messaging. So I'll just try to submit this empty login form. I'll not put any username and password, and just try to log in, and you can see that username and password cannot be blank, right? So again, this is Flash messaging. It's called Flash messaging. Which is helping us in here, letting us know what's wrong, right? If I try to do the same thing on the left side, there's an internal server error, which means our error handling, it wasn't that great in the last class. So we just added some error handling, and it's super easy to do that. And I'll show today how to do that. Any questions so far? Right, I'll take it as a no. So let's move forward then. So we saw the difference. Now let's see how we did that, right? How the templates are looking beautiful. Now, first powerful feature that I want to talk about is including templates in a template. Okay. So imagine you have a file.html, whatever file it is, right? An HTML file, which is basically a Jinja 2 file. Right? If I wanted to include another template in the main template, okay, all you have to do is do this. You just say this curly braces %, and then include, that's basically Jinja 2 syntax, and then the main command is include tweet from HTML. So this is whatever HTML file that you want to include, right? So imagine you have the home page, right? If you remember the home page. In the home page, I had the let me go back to that. So this is so if I go back to the home page, let me log in again. I'm talking about this. If I go now, see that I have 2 components here. This home page is basically showing me what is happening in this form, which is one thing, and then it's including another template, which is the recent 10 tweets. This is another template. So if you wanted to include some extra HTML from another template, this is the way to go. You include the other template's name .html, and then that will be the entire HTML will be imported into this file. Okay, this is really beautiful and powerful. Why? Because then you can basically think this HTML from component perspective. Like instead of thinking, it changes your thought process. Okay, so you kind of think your application from component perspective. What are the components that I have in my web application? New tweet form can be one component. List of tweets can be another component. Instead of very specifically say, is it a component for last 10 tweets, or is it a component for all the tweets, or is it a component for all my tweets? If I can reuse this block, reuse the same block, then let's call it a generic component, tweets component, list of tweets component, for example, right? And then we can use the same component for rendering this, different data, but the same template. So that gives you a thought process that introduces the thought process of making components in your web application, which is really, really powerful concept. It starts very small, right? But the benefit is so high that going forward, whether you use Jinja or Angular or React or Vue.js, they actually are about components. End of the day, reusable components. So you create a component and you reuse that component. It's a super powerful concept. And I'm very happy that we are learning. We'll be seeing how we can think from component perspective today. Now, when you include a template, there is one thing to keep in mind, that the new template that you're importing may require some extra variables, right? May require some extra variable. For example, in order to show a list of tweets, you definitely need to give it the list of tweets, like a dictionary or a list of dictionary that contains the tweets, right? Also the header or the title. These two parameters, the dependency of the new template. So when you, for example, if you have the parameters, this is a second example with params, then you need to wrap that in a block. So something like this, with then the variable names, following user equals following user, title equals whatever string that I pass. So it's basically just including parameters. So this is the first following user is the first parameter, and title is the second parameter. These are just two variables, and it can be any variable, right? You just wanted to pass it. So with this code, basically creating a context. This is variable number 1, variable number 2, this title, and then you include users.html. So what is going to happen? It will include users.html, and then pass following user variable and title variable into that template. Okay, so dependency is met, the template will be included and it will be rendered within the file.html. Okay, any questions so far? All right, yeah, please.
Just want to confirm my understanding. So the reason you have the second template include template, because in the UI, which demo UI that you show us earlier, there are two places which you kind of want to there's some reusability happening here. So that's why we use that's why we have this template include another template here.
Yes, that's correct. So there are more than one place. So if there is an opportunity where you can reuse the template in more than one place, it's probably a good time, to kind of create a template that can be reused instead of copy pasting the same code.
Thank you.
Right, and we'll see that in action shortly. Plan. All right. All right, so let's move forward. Okay, Jinja 2 now looping. Like we can loop. Yes, please, SR. There's another question.
The code that you're showing, is that part of is it HTML or is it like
very good question. This code that we are showing here, this is Jinja 2. So if you see the header, this is Jinja 2, including template in template, templates in template. Now, what is Jinja 2? This is basically a HTML rendering template. Okay, so imagine a smarter HTML. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with HTML?
Yes.
You're familiar with HTML, right? That's great. So now imagine you have HTML, but you wanted to include some special functionality. For example, you wanted to be able to add if conditions in there, like programming logic inside the template, right? like looping logic inside the template. And for example, if conditions, while loops, for loops, and then even what do you call is some UI related logic can be included right inside the template. Now, if you're familiar with HTML, HTML doesn't give us this kind of if condition functionality, right? It's basically for rendering information on the page, but it's not about so much logic. Logic is normally something that the controller is supposed to have, but while controller can focus on business logic, some of the business logic or control structure, Jinja 2, a templating framework like Jinja 2 allows us to take some of the logic to the template so that our controller doesn't get overwhelmed and becomes more readable. Okay, this is not a new concept. This is a very old concept. Okay,
is it something Jinja 2 is like JavaScript kind of?
Jinja 2, no, it's not JavaScript. It's not a programming language, by the way. It's basically a framework with specific syntax. It's definitely not a programming language. It has a very simple, straightforward syntax. Okay, where JavaScript is a full-fledged programming language. Jinja 2 is more of a subset of tools that allows you to add some logic in the template. And
do you have to do anything to use Jinja 2 in HTML?
Very good question. So now Jinja 2 has an engine. Jinja 2 is a templating engine. So you can install Jinja 2 using Python, or it's basically used in Python. So you can install Jinja 2 and then render the template using that tool. So what I'm trying to let me rephrase that. So Jinja 2 needs to be executed, and browser does not understand Jinja 2 directly. So if you just put Jinja 2 code and tell browser to render that, browser won't be able to render it because it doesn't understand. Okay, so what we need is that we need to interpret or compile the Jinja 2 into HTML code, and then only it will be shown. So there is a pre-processing happening. Okay, so for the pre-processing, we just need to install the tool. The framework that we are using here is called Flask. Flask has built-in Jinja 2. Flask has Jinja 2 built into it, right? We don't have to import it or install it. It is right there. So we didn't have to install it. Jinja 2 is also used for information in something called Django, if you know what Django is.
No.
Okay, Django is a very famous Python framework. It's also used in Django. It's a very powerful templating engine.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you need to install Jinja 2 engine in order to compile Jinja 2 into HTML. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Any other question, please? Great. I'll move forward. So now we saw how to include without parameter and include other HTML with parameter. Okay, so let's move forward. Now looping. Now, like Esar was asking that what are the powerful features that we have in Jinja 2 but not in HTML? So just to show you how for loop is working in Jinja 2 is like this. So if you see my mouse, for user, so it's basically an HTML, right? So this is UL, LI. I think whoever is familiar with HTML will understand most of it. Only the new part here is the curly braces. You see these special curly braces? Those are Jinja 2 code. Okay, so Jinja 2, the power of Jinja 2 is that you can incorporate Jinja 2 right inside HTML and then compile that to generate the final HTML. Okay, now you can see that imagine you have a list of users. You have a list of users that needs to be rendered. If you had only HTML, then you'd have to copy paste the same code over and over and over and then do it yourself. But if you want to do it more programmatic way, then you pass the list of users to the template and then tell the template, hey, here is my list of users. I have 100 users. Can you loop through all the users and then render the first field on it? Okay, so for user, the syntax is for user in users. Okay, and then there's end for. So whatever is inside of this for loop will be repeated, right? Will be repeated. So if you have 100 users, this li block start and li end will be repeated 100 times, right? So what is it gonna do? It's gonna get every user, and for every user in the list, it's gonna render the first item in the list. Sorry, it's the second item, users one. So if it is an array, 0 is the first index, 1 is the second index. So here is going to render the first element number 1 inside the user list. Okay, so that's in a nutshell how a for loop works in Jinja 2. But it's not going to get any more complicated than that. That's basically it. It's super simple. If you understand for loop, this is just other way. It's another Jinja 2 syntax of doing for loop. Any question? Right?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So where are users stored? The data?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
So where is the user list? Like, where is it stored?
Okay, I got it. So you're saying that we are looping through the users, but where the users coming from, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's coming from the controller. So are you familiar with MVC, Model View Controller?
Yes.
Okay. So view is the Jinja 2 template. View layer is the Jinja 2 template. Okay. So view doesn't know anything about where the data is coming from. Is it coming from a database or is it just a list of users that's hard-coded? View has no idea. The controller talks to the model. Controller talks to the model, gets the data, and then sends the data to the view, right? So here, the users is coming from the controller. Okay, and we'll see that in a moment. We will have a live demo, and we'll see how we are passing these users.
Thank you.
And all these questions are actually answered in the last classes. So I shared the link in the chat. Please, when you have some time, watch the videos. That will clarify as well. Okay.
Can you send that again? Maybe I joined.
Oh, you're not saying that? Okay, I'll share that once again. Just give me a sec. There you go.
Thank you.
No problem. So let's move forward. So that's all about looping. Okay. By the way, I must mention this ULLI, you see this HTML? I actually copy pasted all this code from the Bootstrap website. Okay. Honestly, I don't understand modern HTML, Bootstrap, etc. I'm not spending tons of time there. I'm more of a backend engineer. So if you ask me, whenever I'm working with Bootstrap and I need a component, I go and see the list of components that Bootstrap has. I just copy paste the components from there and I just use it. That's basically the power of it. You don't have to understand everything there. You just use whatever you need. So you'll see that in a moment as well. So let's move forward. Jinja 2 if conditions. So that's another very powerful feature in programming, but now Jinja 2 allows us to bring if conditions right inside the template. So imagine your controller. So imagine a user logs in, or if the user logs in, then there will be a user object. But if the user is not logged in, then the user object will be null, right? It's as simple as that. User is logged in, there'll be user variable, or there'll be no user variable, right? So based on this, you wanted to show something like hello, then the username. And if user is not logged in, then you say hello anonymous or hello unknown, right? So how do we show this logic in Jinja 2 template, right? So that's basically it. You have if user, that's the user variable. If the user is there, then say hello user. Otherwise, say hello unknown. As simple as that. But this is super simple, but this tells us one thing. When to take the logic, the question could be that when to take this logic into template and when to take this logic to the controller. The answer is, if it is very, very UI related, maybe it's a good time to take the logic to the template. For example, showing login button or logout button. This is a very UI related feature that should be inside template or in Jinja 2, right? If it is a business logic kind of thing, should be probably the controller and the model based on how complicated the logic is. Okay. Any question? All right, let's move forward. Flash messages. Remember when I tried to submit a form and the form was invalid? I didn't put the username and password. It told me that username and password cannot be blank, right? this is a flash message. And why is it called a flash message? It's called flash message. It's not a Python thing or something. It's a flash message is common across all languages: PHP, Python, Node.js, JavaScript, Java. Flash message is something. Flash message is a message that's shown once, and then on the next page load is gone. This is flash message. Okay, so let's spend a little more time on flash message. Okay, I try to tweet once again. Okay, and see that it shows that tweet cannot be empty. I try to tweet once again, tweet cannot be empty. So this is a flash message. Okay, it shows tweet cannot be empty, but if I go back to the home page, you see the flash message is gone, right? If I try to tweet again, it shows the flash message. Flash message is something that you set the message, and on the next page load, the message will be shown, and then the message will not be shown anymore. It's gone, right? It's a one-time thing. This is a flash message. It's very famous, very useful. You may have seen in many web applications, many websites, that it shows a flash message and the next page load is gone. It's a very common pattern to use flash messages. Okay. Now, how do we show flash message to the user? Okay. But maybe before we go there, maybe we want to ask this question: why should we show flash message? Or what are the other examples of flash messages? If someone can give some examples. If you can think of. One example could be invalid username and password is a flash message, right? What other flash message do you think? One-time message that you want to show the user, and then it should disappear. Anyone? You are sending an email, right? You are sending an email. Once the email is sent, it shows the email was sent successfully, right? Then it should just disappear. Any notice that should show up only once is a flash message, right? All right, so I guess this should be clear. So let's move forward. How do we show flash messages? Now, flash messages is the implementation of flash messages needs to be done in two places. The first one is the controller. In the controller, we set the flash message. In the controller, we set the flash message. And in the view, we show the flash message. Controller decides whether to set it or not, or what kind of flash message it is, right? A flash message can be an error message, an information message, right? Or can be anything else. It could be a warning message. It's up to you. You can have your own categories as well. Okay. So it's twofold. First, we do in the controller. So you can see the example one. In controller, we just say flash. We just call the flash command, or call the flash function, invalid username / password, and then the second parameter is error. So I'm saying that, hey, this is the message, and this is the kind of the message. Okay, that's all the controller has to do. Then in the template, okay, we'll check, do I have flash messages? So this is basically the first line here in the template. Get flashed messages, and the category that I'm interested in is error. So get me all the error messages. And then I get the errors variable, which means that if I have two errors, this errors variable will have two elements in it. Okay, so I'm saying with errors. And then again, if there were no errors, then this will be none, right? This will be null in other language and none in Python. So if there are errors, then look through the errors and show the message, right? First, get all the errors. And then if there are actually errors in it, if there are like at least at least one errors, then look through the errors. This is going to be a list, by the way, a Python list or an array in other programming languages, right? Then show all the messages. Second example is that in the controller, I say login success. And since this is a success message, then the second parameter will be info. I missed a single quote here. This should be a string. So login success info, right? So since I set info type of flash message in the template, I'll say, hey, get me all the flash messages that are of kind info. then I'll get all the infos. Then if these infos got content in it, then loop through the infos message, render the message. This is a for loop, this is the if condition, and this is the context setting of it. It's basically getting all the infos, right? So it's combining both if condition and for loop, and also calling a function to get the data. But it's all happening inside template. You can see there's a little bit of logic here, but it's still okay. We should always be careful to not overwhelm our template with too much logic. It's not a good practice. Okay, your template should be pretty straightforward. This is probably it's probably getting a little complicated here, but it's understandable because still okay. But if you see there's too much if condition inside the template, maybe it's a sign that template is not organized, or the logic should go maybe to the controller, or maybe you should create another function to get the job done. So yeah, so that's basically it. You set it in the template, set it in the controller, and then render it in the template. Any question, please?
Yes, I have a question specific for this flash error message. So, like, I'll try to imagine this in the controller piece where, because obviously this piece had to go in the place in the controller where user try to attempt to log in, but it failed because invalid password. Then you need to throw this flash message, right? How does this get? So if in the controller, or maybe like, or even like a model where, because obviously in my head I'm saying that this could be like a try and the exception handling, that when the exception handling happen, that's where you throw this flash messages. How does this go into that? I'm just having a hard time to imagine this.
Yeah, sure. It's a very good point. So yes, it's a very, very valid point. Thanks for asking this question. So imagine the user is submitting the username and password for logging in, okay? But user didn't really set the password, only set the username. So username is, there is a username, but the password is blank. So when user submits this data to the backend, right? Then the backend controller should see that if the username and password is set, both are set. If not, so that is an if condition, right? If the username is not blank, or if the password is not blank, in that case, you want to set the flash message that username or password cannot be blank, and just return the form, right? So this is one use case. Another use case is that user is trying to sign up, right? User is going to the registration page. Registration page is asking user for the new username and password, and that user was using an existing username. Imagine Hassan. So Hassan already exists in the system, right? So your controller needs to call the backend model function to check if the username is available, right? If it is available, then go ahead and sign up the user. If the username is not available, means it's already in the database and someone has taken that already. In that case, we need to set a flash message with an error that username already taken. So it's totally up to you how you want to use the flash message. But the logic needs to be done in the controller, and the controller needs to decide, is this something that I need to show the user, right? Is this something I need to inform the user? Hey, by the way, this username has been taken already. In that case, set a flash message. So there will be if condition model function calls, and at some point, you'll be setting the flash message for the user if you think this message needs to be conveyed to the user. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
And I think it's a very good question, and we'll be seeing that. We've seen that in action in the code. Okay, so let's do that. So if there's no further question, let me move forward. Okay, so let's build the users page. So this is the live coding time. I just wanted to, it's a time check. It's 11:10. So we have around 50 minutes for coding. I think it's a very good time. We'll be live coding on Repl.it. So I shared the link already with you in the chat. Okay. I will need volunteers so that we can all code together. If you don't have experience, don't feel comfortable coding, still highly encouraged to code, because when you code, you learn more. And we do pair programming, right? So I'll be seeing what you're typing, and if there is any problem, then I'll try to fix it. I'll try to help you. All right. So no problem writing wrong code. We are all here to help each other. So let's go forward and start coding. So we are going to build the users page, and let me go to this day 10. I see the 2 users already joined me. Thank you. And why not we talk about a little bit about the flash message, because there were questions about it. Okay, so maybe I just open a new tab, and then you can see that it's forcing me to log in username and password, and then I try to not put the username and password and just submit. So you can see that it says that username and password cannot be blank. So let's see how I implemented that. Okay, so this is the login page. So let's go to the login/login, and there you go. This is the login controller, right? In the main.py login controller. Here I'm getting the username from the form, password from the form, and if not user, which means that if the username is blank, or if not password is also blank, then I decided to flash, right? I decided to flash username or password cannot be blank, and the type of it is what? Error. And then I just return the template login HTML again. Why I'm returning this template? Because I want to show this template, and also I want to show this form, because I want the user to retry, right? I want the user to retry. So that's why. So you can see that the render template and login.html. So it's going to show the login.html to the user. Okay. Another example is here again. So after the user, imagine the users sent the username and password, they are not blank. In that case, I'll be authenticating the user by password match function. If you remember, is this a function that checks whether this username and password exists in the database. If it exists and if it matches, it's authenticated. If the user is authenticated, then I set the user in the session, and this was the session management, I think, was done in the last class or day 8 or day 9. It should be there. So if you're interested to learn more about session management, is what the day 8 or day 9. And then because the session is set and the user is authenticated, I want to let the user know that login was successful. There you go. I just called flash. Login was successful. But this is not an error. This is an info. So this, I just label it as info. And then redirect the user to the index page. Because the flash message is set, whenever user goes to the next page, which is the login page or whatever, in the base.html, is the main layout. So this gets loaded all the time. I have all this code that with error, see this code? We saw that, right? Get flash messages, check if there are errors. If there are errors, go through every error and render the error. Same here. Get flash messages, get all the info. If there are info, then render all the info one by one, right? This is a template base.html that gets loaded every time you load a page. To prove that, if you want to prove, I just show you here. Let me just page 1. I am base and am loaded every time. Okay, so I'll save that. This is the base HTML that gets loaded every time. So let me refresh this little home page, and see I'm base HTML I'm getting loaded every time. Register home. Let me log in, and then when I log in, you can see that it still is showing up because this base.html is loaded every time, and you can see the flash message is also shown up, right? So now wherever I go, regardless, you can see this message is showing up. Now, so what I'm trying to show you is that this code is getting executed every time the page is loaded. Sometimes there are error flash messages. Sometimes there are info flash messages. Sometimes there is nothing. So it just doesn't render anything. But this code is getting executed every time the page is loading. Any question?
So what's specific about this code that it makes it render on each and every page? Okay,
very good question. And the answer is definitely in the day 9 video. But let me show you. This base.html has the layout. Okay, you can see that it has doc type, header, it has the style.css, all the assets, the layout, everything is in here. Okay, so there is, when I go to different pages, right, you can see that only the content is different, but the layout of it, the top menu are the same. So only the body part needs to change. Many surrounding things don't need to change, right? So that's what layout is. A layout gives you the infrastructure for your HTML. Okay, so here you have your doc type, your CSS that you want to load, your title, and then your navigation. Okay, and other JavaScript as well. What is most important here is this part. Okay, no, not this part. Sorry, where am I? Yeah, here. You can see here there is a, where is my content here? Yeah, there you go. If you see I'm highlighting this line number 58 and 59, there is something called block content, right? And this is again Jinja 2, may look weird to you, but it's basically, I'm just saying that in the main layout, this is base.html is the main layout. In the main layout, there is a variable called content, which means I go to any page, I can say that the content is now this, the layout, the content will change. When I say block content and block end means that there is nothing inside this block at this point. But these base.html can be extended. For example, when I go to login.html, okay, I say that I extend this login.html extends base.html. The login.html extends base.html, right? And then I say the value for content. The value for content is this. Okay, then what happens is that in the base.html, this content will have content from that page. For example, the content.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, thank you.
We got it?
Yeah.
So just a quick example. So let me just get rid of this. And then I say, hello, how are you? And then I'll stop it. I'll run it. And then this is a login page, by the way. So I go to, let me just log out. And then see that? It forces me to log in. And the content was passed from the login page. Right? So that's basically it.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, let me stop it and restart it. And then now let's get rolling here. Let me log in once again. On and on. Don't save. Don't save. All right. So let's go. Let's see what we have in the users. Nothing. Right? I have a following block. I have a not following block, but it's not showing any data. But now we are here to kind of populate the data. So let's do that. So let's see what we have in here. In the main.py, if you go all the way down, I registered a new route /users. This is something that wasn't there in the last class. In the /users, I'm calling two functions, two model functions. The first model function is that, hey, I want all the users that I'm following. And then I want all the users that I'm not following. So get all users following, get all users unfollowing. It gives me two variables, right? It gives me two variables. Okay. And then with these two variables, I want to render a template users page with all users that I'm following and all users I'm not following. So basically just passing these two variables to the template so the template can render it, right? So this is also done. So I'm calling model function and then passing those variables to the template. Now, let's go and see what we have in the users page.html. So let's go to users page.html. So this is the users page. Now in the users page, you can see I'm extending base, which I should definitely do because when I extend base, I have all those base functionalities like layout, flash messages, etc. Right? The base title says tweets. Oh, this is wrong. Let me fix that. This is like users. Okay, this is users. So because it's users page, and then I'm saying that the block content should be whatever is in here. Okay, and in here I have two blocks. include users.html, and again include user.html, because if you see that I'm using, it's the same block, only the title is changed and the content has nothing, right? That's how you reuse. So I said include the user.html, but this user.html has this context. Following user is following users, title is following. The second block has following users is unfollowing users is unfollowing users. So just basically just passing the variable. And the title is not following. I could just say title is not following, blah, blah, blah. And then this will just change the title for the block. So the templates, by definition, should be very dumb, right? See, whatever you're passing is just rendering it. It's just basically as simple as that, with maybe a little bit of intelligence there, like basic if conditions and for loops, and that's it. It should never be smart. Template should be very, very dumb. Whatever you pass, it's supposed to render that, okay? Your controller should be smart. Your model should be the smartest, okay? So let's go back. Now, I need your help. I need your help to fix this. As you can see that it's not showing users. Can we have another block called all users in here? And that should show all the users that we have in our system. Okay, we have two blocks now. Following blocks, nothing in there. Not following blocks. I need to stop and restart because I changed the code. Okay, following blocks, not following blocks. Can I have another block called all users and populate the data for it? So what should be the strategy, anyone? Anyone? If you're talking, you're on mute. Okay, the first thing we need to do is that in the users route here, in the users route, we need to call get all users to get a list of users. And then we need to pass all the users to the template and then render all the users. Okay, so let's do first thing first. Let's call get all users to get the list of users, because we have already that function, model function in there. By the way, for the users who are new here, we have something called users.py. This is a model file for users. If you go there, you will see that all the model related function, data related functions are here. You can see that the get user by username, get all users following, get all users unfollowing, and also there is something called get all users. Get all users is calling db.getAllUsers, which is a db level function. So if you go there, what it does is basically this: get all users. It executes the query. If you know SQL, cursor.execute, select star from users, order by underscore ID descending, which means whoever is the last shows up first, right? And then I'm doing fetch all to get all the users. So that's basically it. If you don't know SQL, there's a basic class on like only the basic select statements. I think day 5 or day 6 maybe. You might want to watch that. And there are tons of research on the internet on SQL. All it's doing is basically doing a SQL query on a SQLite database, where you SQLite here. It's getting all the users, it's fetching the users, and then returning it, which means that our controller here will get the list of users if we call this function. Okay. So anyone wants to help write this code?
I'm not able to get into this your code here with the link that you have sent, the Repl.it. It didn't take me to this code.
Okay, let me reshare. Did you log in?
Yeah.
Okay, can you, if you're logged in, can you click on the link once again? This might take you directly to the link, because I can see the two members are here, so the link is good. I can see one person joined. Oh, no. Observe and observe. Okay, two. Let me know.
Yes, I just joined.
You just join. Great. So now you are able to code. We can all code together. I can see someone is writing the code, line number 136, all users. Okay. The function that we need to call is get all users, right? Okay. Now, do we have this get all users function imported from the DB, imported from the model file? That's something that we need to check. Right? So we can go all the way up and see, all right, yeah, there you go. So get all users, great. So we imported get all users model function, great. And then we're gonna use it in here, line number 136. Why is it still complaining? It says, all users assigned to a variable number never used. Yeah, that's fine. We're gonna use it in a moment. So now that we have all users, we want to pass this variable into the template. So I think SR was asking that where is the user data coming from? This is where the user data is coming from. We call the model function, we got the data, and then now we are passing the data to the template. Okay, it's always a good practice to add a space. Thank you. Great. So now we have all users. We can guarantee that all users, if the users are there, it will be passed to the template. And the name of the template is what? Users
page.
underscore page.html. So let's go to users underscore page and see what we have in there. Users underscore page. There you go. You can see that users underscore page is extending the base.html, which should be the case. That should be the case. We should always extend from the base if it is a full-fledged page. Okay. Then there's a block content and providing the block content there. There is one block missing here. We have following user, we have non-following user, but we don't have a block for all users. Right? Okay. Excellent. All underscore users. Yeah. All users. Great. The title. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. We need to pass the title. I just opened the users page on the right side. Sorry, not here. Users page on the right side, so we can all see users page. So you can see on the right side that what the users.html contains. Users.html, it requires a title variable and a users variable, right? So, and that's why we have we need to include. So this is like including the users component in a way, right? Users.html. Great. And then we need to close this block with end with. End with. Excellent. This should fly. This should fly. So let's give it a shot and try it out. Oh, you want to add a BR? Yeah, that's a very good idea, please. Yes. So let's stop this. I need to restart the server to see the changes. So I'll do that. And let's go and refresh this page and see how it looks. Excellent. Excellent. We have all users block, but no data is showing up here. Okay. There is a problem in the code, not that the code that you wrote, but the code that I wrote, or maybe into like how we are passing the variable. I'll leave that with you a few minutes. Spend a minute and see if you can figure it out. Why is the data not showing up? Pretty sure the system has data, right? We have users, multiple users signed up, but the data is not showing up. Anyone? For information, the users, this is the users page, right? But the template that we're including here, the users component, is on the right side here. And just I open it for you on the right side here. Okay. So this small snippet of code is rendering, but it's not showing the users list.
Yeah, because in list we don't have user. We need to put user there.
Very, very good question. But so the question is, do we really have users, right?
Oh.
Do we really have users? Now, in order to prove that we have users, who can prove it for us? We can actually render that in template, and we can also go back to the users. What do you call? Sorry, maybe just close off some of the so many pages here. So maybe just clean things up a little. Okay, let's go to the main.py. And how about we print here? If someone helps me print line number 137, just add a print statement, all users, to see if we have data in the users. Line number 137. It's not going to be curly braces. It's not a template. Right? In template, you need curly braces to print or to do the logic. This is Python code, so you can directly go print all users. Yeah, great. So now we have a print function line number 137, which means whenever we go to /users, this code will execute. It will get all the users, and it will be printing in this console on the right side. It will be printing all the users. Let's go and see if we see any data in the console. So that's debugging step 1, to see if we have data in the model. So let's go and refresh this page. Okay. And you can see on the right side, tons of data here. Do you see that? Right? We have data here. See 9 user hello, and then there is a password hash, then 8 user Asan. See, I'm here as well, right? The password hash is also here. So the data is there, so I don't see any problem. So the problem, the controller, so data is coming till the controller. So the problem, the model is good, the controller is good. So where could the problem be? What's the other side? What's the last one? Template, MVC, right? The model is good, the controller is good, still not showing data. It could be a view problem, and the view is the template. So let's go back to the template and see what is the problem. Anyone? Okay, then I can answer it. If no one can figure it out, it's actually pretty simple. And it's very important thing to understand. What is the template that we are including here? Users.html, right? And the user.html is open on the right side. What are the 2 variables that it depends on? Title and users. Then if you go back to the main template, users page, we did send the title. Did we send the users variable? No. It's named users. It's not named all users. Right? I know that I did the same thing. I mean, line number 9 and line number 13, I did the same thing, but the data isn't there. So I mean, it needs to be, line number 9 needs to be users as well. Line number 13 needs to be users as well. But for our new case, all users, it has to be users equals all users. Yeah. So now the variable mapping is correct. What we call all users in this template is users in the new template. This is a very important point. What we call all users in this template is users in the new template. So the mapping needs to be correct. I hope that makes sense to you.
Sorry, I just want to confirm my understanding. So the all user underscore users are passing from the controller to the template, and in the template we'll reference user HTML, but the user getting from the controller is actually users. So that's why we didn't have the user previously, right?
You're almost there. I think you said it, but maybe I'll just try to paraphrase what you have just said. So okay. All users is a variable coming from the controller, right? And then controller decided to load a template users page and pass all users, right? Pass all users, which means that in this page, users page, we'll have access to all users, right? So all users coming from the template. From the controller. Now, in this new template, users page, we are including another template, which is users.html, right? Users.html has two variables, title and users. Now, if you see here, users.html does not have anything called all users. The variable that it understands, it looks for is users. So that's why we need to remap the user with users equals all users. So basically, I'm saying, hey, by the way, in this template, there is something called users, and I want to set that the users value to all users.
Okay, clear.
Okay, it's basically just changing the variable name, if you ask me. Right? All users is users in the other page. Okay, now just to make it even more clearer, if I called it, instead of users, if I called it list of users, if I called it list of users, then here I'll have to do it list of users as well. Right? Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll just call it users. And then this would be users. Okay. So let's stop this now. Restart it. Go back to our template and see. Woohoo! It's working. This is the list of all users. Right? It's working. So any question so far? No? Okay. How about then, if there is no question, then as per today's agenda, we are supposed to also, we have 20 minutes left. Delia has a question, and can you paste the links? Oh yeah, sure. I'll do it once again. Just give me a sec. All the links are here in the chat. All videos can be found on the YouTube link. Thank you. Then you can always, anyone, you can always reach me on the Meetup chat. So if you ask any question there, I'm more than happy to answer. All right. So we learned a little bit of Jinja 2 today. We learned more Bootstrap, and then we create a user list, which is good. But the next thing that, if time permits, we wanted to go to follow user and unfollow users. Okay. Now, follow user and unfollow user. What I actually meant here by is following user and unfollow user. When you have list of all users, right? You should have a follow button here, right? You should have a follow button so you can just start following that user. That button doesn't exist today, right? So how about we modify this template and add a follow button? Can someone help me with that? Okay. Can someone help me? So let me go to Bootstrap components. Let me directly just search, and let's go to components Bootstrap. We are using Bootstrap version 4. So I'll go to Bootstrap version 4 here. I'll just give you the link here in the chat as well for everyone. So this is a Bootstrap UI framework that we are using. My personal favorite is simple, so I like it. On the left side, there is a component link. Okay, I encourage you to read through the documentation if you can. Watch videos on YouTube. There are tons of resources out there. It's a very famous and very old framework. I think the web is the most highly used UI framework in the world. So let's go to the components section, and if you see these blocks, a simple primary alert. This is the block that I used for showing alert. So I submit a blank tweet, and you can see that tweet cannot be empty. So this is basically this block, right? Danger block. So I just copy pasted the danger block from here, and it shows in that format. Now let's go and see what we want here. What we are looking for here is we want a button here, a follow link here, follow, right? A small link that allows me to follow or unfollow. Now let's go here and see that what can be used. So let me scroll down. I know something called, this is called badges, right? The badges are something like this that you can have just a small link next to a text that that allows you to you can show a label, or you can also add a link, no problem. So I personally like that. You can just add a badge and then the small link shows up, right? See this links, primary, secondary, success, blah blah blah, right? So maybe we can say that for follow it could be success link. We could just copy paste this one, and for unfollow it could be maybe the orange link, right? Unfollow, right? So someone can just copy this. I don't want to do that. I would like you to do it. Okay. Can someone add this success link from here into our template to allow follow functionality? So again, the follow functionality also has some database activity. So I'm not gonna go to the database activity yet. First, let's do the UI. Okay, let's do the UI work. Anyone? Any question? Is it confusing? It's too silent. Do you want help? It's very simple. You just, can you send the link for the Bootstrap, right? I sent it already. It's here. Badges. You can scroll all the way down, and then you can see an anchor link for success message, success link, and you can use the same badge for follow. Right? You just need to change the text from success to follow. Sorry, I think I was sending the messages to a specific person. Here's the link. All right. Anyone? Do you want me to do that? Okay. So I'll take it. I'll do that then. No problem. So see, it's super simple. Super simple. You just need to copy this. Okay, because you I want to use this for follow and unfollow. I'll copy that. And then let's go to the template because someone is doing it. Okay. Yes, sir. Great. Thank you for doing this. Follow. Okay.
Follow. Okay.
Yeah. Follow. It should be follow. Yeah, it's an action link. So follow.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I'm not sure if I put it in the right position though.
That's okay. Let's see how it looks. So let's run it. And then if I refresh this page, and you can see the follow is showing up here, which means that we just need to take it on the right side. So maybe at the end of the template, instead of line number 7, maybe we could do end of maybe after line number 10, like after H6.
After 10?
Yeah. And I can just get rid of line number 7 because it's not needed. Okay, let's stop that, rerun it. And if I refresh it, and then you can see the follow button is showing up, right? Excellent. So I can follow, follow, follow. But this is all users, right? This is the list of all users. In the list of all users, I may have people who I have followed already. For the people I have followed already, do you want to follow again? Do you want people to be able to click on the follow link? It should be unfollow, right? So there should be a follow link and there should be an unfollow link. Based on whether I followed the user already or not, it should be either the follow link or the unfollow link, right? Okay, so how about that? How about then we we copy the unfollow link as well. Okay, maybe the warning one. Okay, and paste it as well. And then we'll have two buttons, two links, one for follow and then one for unfollow. And then we'll change the logic, add the business logic to it. Follow. Thanks. Great. I'll just add a space to keep the alignment correct. Stop, rerun. I'll refresh this page, and then now we have follow and unfollow, which is not the right business logic. That's fine, but first you need to get the, the basics done, right? So here's the basic for the template. Follow, unfollow, both buttons are showing up, but we want to show either follow or unfollow, right? So let's do some. Let's do some controller work, okay, to show follow for some user and show unfollow for some users, okay? So in order to do that, in this template here in the users.html, I want to show follow if followable is true. Otherwise, show unfollow. So if I follow someone, followable will be false. Imagine I followed SR, right? Then SR is not followable anymore because I already followed her, okay? And if I never followed Kang, for example, then the follow button should show up. So we can add a variable in the users.list, users.html, and check if followable, if user I don't know how many fields we have. Let me check. Let me check. Users, let me check. So when we get all the users, we have maybe 3 fields. Oh, it's here. One, the first is the ID, then the username, and then the password. Okay, so 0, 1, 2. If the field number 3 is true, then show follow, otherwise show unfollow. Okay. So we just need to add an if condition. Anyone? So show some if conditions for your reference. We have if condition in the base. There you go. You can see how if conditions are here, right? So if in the navigation as well, we have some if condition. Yeah, you can just copy this if condition, if, and then just paste it here on the right side. So if user's third element is true, or you can just say if user third, that will be either true or false. Yeah. Then, which means is followable, then it should show follow. Otherwise, which is an else statement, else, then we should unfollow. Great. And then if condition needs to be closed with an end if. Great. I personally like adding indentation. Yeah, great. And this is always a good practice to have indentation. When your code is very highly readable, your co-workers would love you, right? They know that you are a good coder. It's easy to read your code. That's the best way of coding. Okay, great. This looks good. Okay, so let's stop it and rerun it. Okay, now what is going to happen? Do we have the third element yet? No, we don't have the third. User doesn't have the third element in it. User has, user doesn't have the fourth element because it starts from 0. 0, 1, 2. We have 0, 1, 2 index, but we don't have the third index in the users list. So let's see what happens anyways. So I'll refresh this page. You can see that it says unfollow. It's unfollow because the index 3 does not exist in any of the users, right? It's just blank. So it says that, hey, it's false. The variable is not available. So Jinja2 thinks that the variable is not available. I would take it as a no. I'll just show unfollow. So user is not followable, okay? Which means unfollow the user. User is already followed. So you can see only unfollow is showing up for all the users. And then we can go ahead and fix it. But before we go there, is there any question from anyone?
Sorry, maybe I missed this. So can you explain to me the user? So the user, so like I see there's a bunch of index passing a user index 0, 1, 2. Like, does that user has the what is each field does? Like, is
Very
it
good question. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of it, honestly. What happened is that when we did the what is this SQLite query, right? That behind the scene we're using the database that we're using is SQLite, right? When we're doing the SQLite query, the data that is coming to us is in a list. We can change that into a dictionary. That's better. I would probably do that in the next class because I don't know what the 0 number element is. I don't know what the number 1 element, which is very unreadable. I personally don't like it. We can fix it. But if you see my screen on the right bottom corner here, right? I highlighted, right? The first element is 0 number element. 0th element is the index of it.
right?
Okay. Then first element, now element number 1 in the list is hello, which this is actually username. Okay. So this is the username. The second element, element number 2, is the password hash, this one, right? So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Sorry, this is 0, and my bad, sorry. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2. Do we have the third element?
No, we don't.
No, right? So, but we are looking for the user's third element. It doesn't exist. That's why it evaluates to false. That's why we are showing unfollow.
Does that mean like this because the third element? I guess the intention was try to access third element, but the third element supposed to be in the database is like the user for the user that who the user list they are following this user following, right?
No, this yeah.
No?
I mean this could come from the database as well, right? But we are going to we can actually do this from the controller too, but we can do it from the using the DB query as well. But we don't have that functionality today. We need to modify the DB, which is the part of the Linux. In next class, we'll be adding a new table to keep this information. The who is following who. For example, if I'm following you, then you are no more followable by me.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
But you may be followable by SR, right? I followed you, so I cannot follow you anymore. But SR did not follow you, which means that SR can still follow you. So there is no single yes or no answer. It depends on who is logged in. And based on that, we need to find out if the logged in user can follow the user in question.
I see.
Right? So it's a little bit of logic, right? So if I followed you, I cannot follow you anymore. If someone else did not follow you, she or he can follow you now. Now, this is the main idea, right? So now, yes, you're right. The element number 3 should be coming from somewhere. It could be from the model, it could be from the controller. But today, what we can do is maybe just, since we have just only 5 minutes left, how about we do it in the main.py, okay? What we can do, for each user, we can just add the third element artificially in here, just for fun, right? And then the view will interact accordingly, right? So what we could do, you want me to do that or anyone wants to do that? Do we just need a for loop? Anyone, any volunteer? We just need to loop through the list, okay, and add an item to it. Okay, I'll probably go ahead and do that. And okay, I can see SR2. SR is here. SR, do you want to write the code? So we just need to loop through the all users.
Oh, sorry. Was I there? Like, is it the base?
No, not in the base. We will be passing the data from the controller.
From the controller. So are we going to main.py?
Main.py, yes.
Oh, okay.
In the main.py, there's all users, right?
Definition of all users.
The all users is the list of all the users, because the get all users returns the all the users, and this is all exactly showing up here. This is all users.
Yes, we printed all the users. Yes,
we printed all the users. So all users actually is whatever is getting rendered in this block, right?
Right.
And you know that in this block, whatever is rendered, every user has 3 elements in it: the ID of the user, the username of the user, and the password of the user, password hash. We need to add one more element to it, which is either true or false.
Right. I think I was there. I'm not there right now.
Okay, so it's very easy. Let's look through the all users.
Sorry, I'm lost right now. Like you're putting there? I think Brendan is putting there. He's trying to type there.
Sure, there is no wrong answer. So no, we don't have element number 3 anyway. Okay. So all we have to do is, for users in all users, we need to do users, and third element is either true or false. We don't need an if condition.
We're just assigning.
Yeah, we're just assigning. That's correct. Hi. Hello. Any question, anyone? Yes. So that is correct. So this should fly already. Okay, so let's save and see if everything is fine. We'll stop it and restart it. So now we set the user's third element to true. And let's see if we refresh that. There's an internal server error. I don't know what we did here. What is the problem? It says, oh, yeah. Actually, the Python is right. We can't really just set the third element because the third element does not exist. What is the command in Python to add an item to the list?
Append.
Append, exactly, append. So we need to do user.append and then true. Not user3 append, because user3 does not exist. User is a list. User is a list. It has only a list of elements in there. We just user.append and then just append true to it. Right? Yeah, just append true to it. We don't need the true here. So I'll just get rid of that. All I'm saying is we need to get rid of this and then just add true to it. That's it. Right? Because user object is a list. Sorry, this is the Python list. We just need to add a new element to it and make it true. Okay, which will add a new element. So I'll refresh that and I'll show you what actually happened. Let me just run this, refresh. I have another error, so I don't know what.
I think it's saying for a user, really?
Oh, sorry. So no, so it's a tuple, right? It's a tuple, and tuple is immutable. So tuple does not have. Daily asked a question. Can you use the new function to add? Daily, can you elaborate your question? New element, yeah, but like what exactly is the question? New element to the list. Yeah, it's not a list. This is actually a tuple, right? So in order to do that, we just need to add an item to the tuple. Tuple is by definition, tuple is immutable, right? We cannot really just have what do you call just an item to it, append to it. So what we have to do is yes, this is also a solution. But it's going to be, there is a users 2 as well. There is user 2 as well. So it's going to be user 1, user 2. That works as well. It's not the best syntax, but it should fly. Okay, so we're overriding it. So let's see if it works. So let's save that. Stop, restart. So reassigning the value. Fresh, and there is unfollowed. So I do not see, you can see I do not see the item in here. And the reason behind, see the true false is not really showing here in the list is because this is creating a new tuple. It's not in the list anymore. That's the problem. So what we need to do is that since we are running out of time, I'll just quickly do that myself. I add a new variable called final users is an empty list, okay? And then what I'll do is that final users dot append user. Okay, so what I'm doing is that because I created a new tuple, it didn't really change the tuple in the all users. Okay, and then that's why I'm creating a new tuple here, and then passing instead of all user, I'll pass final users. Okay, I'll save that, stop it, restart it, and let's refresh that. There you go. Now it says follow. Okay. So understand the code. It's the syntax is a little weird. All we are doing here is just for fun. All we are doing here is that we are adding a new element to it. And the last element that is controlling what should be shown. It can be either follow or unfollow. Because it's passed true, this is follow. If it passed false and stop it and restart it, okay, then it will be unfollow. Okay, there is another fun thing that we can do. The last one, hopefully that works real quick, is that we don't really like either unfollow or unfollow. How about we randomize it a little? Okay, in order to randomize it, I'll just quickly import something called a random, something called a random library. It's called random. Okay, random allows us to randomize stuff. Okay. So since we don't want either true or false, we can do random follow. Just assign a variable is random dot something called choice. Okay, and then in here I can pass either true or false. So what's going to happen is that you're going to randomize this list. Either sometimes we can have true or sometimes you can have false. And then we'll use this random follow and pass it as the last variable. Okay. So what this is going to do again is either return true or false because it's randomized, right? And then the last item that we are passing is this random value. So it will be true sometimes, it will be false sometimes. Okay. So let's stop that, run that again. And let's refresh that and see if it works. Excellent. See, now we have some follow and some unfollow because we have either true or false, right? if you refresh this page, this randomization will change because it's just random, right? So this looks more realistic how the final outcome is going to be, right? It will be either follow or unfollow based on whether you have followed the user or not. All right, it's 12:06. We're definitely 6 minutes over. Any question, please?
So I was not able to join this share project. Do you know how I get from there? Because I have this whole project which is showing that Repl.it Twitter day 10, but I don't know how go from there to this live share session.
Okay,
So,
so are you saying that you're unable to code with us?
yes, correct.
Okay, have you logged in?
Yeah, I see the whole what is that?
But you don't see anything in the editor where you can edit the code,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll copy the link once again for you, and
Okay.
try to click that and see if you can directly see this page.
Are you pasting? Okay. In the chat, right? Okay.
Any other question from anyone?
Oh, cool. Thank you. It works now.
No problem. Did it become too complicated? Was that simple enough?
A little. I mean, honestly, I probably need to go back to at least last 2 or 3 to try to code myself. Which I didn't do.
No problem. If you have any question, you can always ask me on the Meetup chat. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actively following that. But if there is no further question, then just give me a minute to show what we have in the next class. Okay. So let's do a slideshow. So in the next class, we have follow unfollow user. So today we played with the controller and show with the follow or unfollow and blah, 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 right? In the next class, we actually will be creating the data model, right? We'll be doing an introduction to many-to-many relationship, because follow and unfollow, based on who you're following, the data needs to be stored, not in the user table, but there's a user follow table or something like follow table. We'll have to create a table where there'll be many-to-many relationship. So we'll do that in the next class. We'll create the data model. We'll keep the model functions so that the controller can call those model functions and just get the data. And then we'll integrate the template like we did today. Okay. I'll see that if we can cover everything in the next class, but if we can't, we'll definitely go to the class after that. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be a fun class because it's going to be introducing many-to-many follow functionality. So please don't miss that. And thank you so much for your time. Hope to see you in the next class.
Thank you. So one more request.
Sure.
Is it because I was trying to not to use the Repl.it. I tried to clone the whole repo, download it, and on my local server.
Okay.
Is there a way you can help me to, or maybe next class or in the future, you can go over some instruction how to run the poetry project whole file locally?
That's a very good point. You know what? I will send a link. I'll send a GitHub link. Okay. I think it's a good time for us to kind of take this code and put it in GitHub. Are you familiar with GitHub?
Yeah.
Okay, I can put the code, open source it on GitHub, then everyone can fork it and then play with it, right? I think it's a time where the code has become more matured. I think everyone will have fun if they can fork their own repo, fork into their own repo and then play with it. I'll do that for you, no problem.
Thank you.
Great, then thank you so much. Have a great long weekend and hope to see you in the next class.
Bye.
Bye.